What is the difference between a marathoner and a sprinter? How fast would Usain Bolt be able to run a marathon, or how fast would Eliud Kipchoge be able to sprint 100 meters?
Yeah, so let's take a look at the differences between a marathon runner and a sprinter. If the world's best marathon runners can run a marathon at sub 3 minute per kilometre pace, you'd imagine they could sprint fairly fast too. And if you can run 100 metres in under 10 seconds, then you'd imagine that you'd be able to do a marathon at half of that pace, and that would still give you, what, a sub 2:15?
Yeah. But the truth is, the two sports are worlds apart. Eliud Kipchoge would probably be more than 40 meters behind Usain Bolt in 100 meters, and Usain Bolt would probably not be able to run a marathon within an hour of Eliud Kipchoge's time at his best. We can see the physical differences between the two. A marathon runner is skinny and tall, super skinny, and a sprinter is tall, muscular and ripped. But what are the actual differences between the two, other than what they look like? And what can we learn from the differences for our own performance?
Well, before we answer those questions, just a quick reminder to click on the bell icon and the globe so you make sure you get all of our videos from GTN.
First, let's look at the physiological differences between a sprinter and a marathoner. The primary physiological difference is the muscle fiber types used. Sprinters use fast twitch fibers, whereas marathoners use slow twitch fibers. Type 1 or slow twitch or slow oxidative fibers are slower to contract, they're smaller, but they use oxygen and they're really resistant to fatigue. Type 2 fibers or fast twitch fibers are bigger and stronger, contract faster, but they are not as resistant to fatigue. There's actually two types of these, A and B, or fast oxidative and fast glycolytic. The latter being even faster and stronger, but contracting without the use of oxygen, they fatigue really quickly.
Yeah, so it's obvious then that marathon runners have mainly the slow twitch fibers. In actual fact, up to 80% slow twitch. And then on the flip side, you've got sprinters who in reality have around 75% of fast twitch fibers. But if you took a cross-section of the sedentary or the non-athletic population, it tends to be around a 50-50 split. However, if you looked at these athletes who are performing at the top of their sport when they were born, they would have a split that favoured whichever sport it is they are now doing.
It is believed, although research is ongoing, that you can change your fiber types by about 10%. So if you were born normal with 50% slow twitch and 50% fast twitch, and you only trained the fast twitch fibers, you could get up to around 60% fast twitch and vice versa.
Yeah, well, obviously you can see from that you're not going to get to that 75 or 80% proportion needed to be a world-class short distance or long distance runner. However, you can change it to a certain extent.
Which brings us to the next point: train. A major difference between marathoners and sprinters is their training. The best in the world have been honing their craft for years, even decades, and working on the specific requirements for their sport. So while some of their advantages may be inherited from their parents, a lot of those advantages are through training.
Other than the muscle fibers themselves, specific training will lead to changes in your neuromuscular recruitment, so the brain's ability to send those messages to your muscles and the timing of that, oxidative efficiency, so the density and the ability of the mitochondria in the muscle cells to take that oxygen and convert it into energy, and then aerobic efficiency, so your body's ability to take that oxygen and deliver it to the muscles, including the heart, the lungs, as well as waste removal and capillary density.
Now, one more difference between the two is their skill required. Now, you may look at running and even sprinting as not particularly skillful. After all, my 2-year-old can run. But the reality is, at the top level, running is a skill. The ability to perfectly time the contractions of various muscle groups again and again and again in a perfect sequence is something that takes years to practice and get right.
Well, from all of that, you can probably see that natural talent, physical training and years of refinement mean that marathon runners and sprinters could not be further apart on that human performance scale. And as a result, no amount of adaptation or training can take someone who's been at that level from one end to the other. And therefore, Eliud Kipchoge does not need to worry that Usain Bolt has retired and his marathon world record is going to be safe from that sprinter.
Yeah, definitely. So what does all that mean for us as normal human beings, and particularly those of us who are triathletes? The reality is Not a whole lot. I mean, there's no sprinting in triathlons. I mean, there may be a sprint finish, but that's not really sprinting. There are no triathlons that only take a few seconds.
Yeah, for example, a standard distance triathlon takes almost as long as a marathon, and then a sprint triathlon takes almost as long as a half marathon. And even if you watch the elites doing a super sprint, well, they're going to be competing for longer than a 5K runner is. So when we use the word sprint, we're not exactly referring to that 10 to 60 second effort that is traditionally what we all know as a sprint.
No, from what we have seen of athletes crossing over, such as Christian Blumenfeld doing well in both the sprint distance triathlon all the way through to the Ironman, they use very much the same physiological requirements. They may be different in intensity, but the physiological requirements for all triathlons are very similar.
What a triathlete can take from this is the fact that you can train those abilities that you require for the event. For example, if you're going to the gym lots and you're doing a huge amount of plyometric or sprint activities, then they're actually going to be developing your fast twitch muscles and could even be at a detriment to your slow twitch muscles, which you need for the endurance event of a triathlon.
Yeah, we hope you've enjoyed this video and it's taught you something, even if it's not particularly useful for your triathlon goals. Thanks for watching.